the starting lineup of your favorite show. At producer, 5'11" from Blanchester, the cow killer, Casey McCollister. And comic engineer, standing at 4'8", the pride of the West Side, Elliot Rearing. And your host, weighing 150 pounds, soaking wet, from Hamilton, Ohio, Ace Fowler.
Alrighty. Good morning, everybody. It is great to have you with us here on Off the Bench. I'm Tom Brenneman. We come your way Monday through Friday, 10
A
to 12
P. And on the radio, Tom, 1P to 3P.
Nice, I like that. And that's in Dayton on ESPN Radio, the wing.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Okay. I'm trying to get used to this now because, Trace is normally in here since we have this agreement with our friends in Dayton on ESPN Radio. And so it's been great so far. It's been great. I'm sure that Elliot, you, and Casey are already being pursued for speaking engagements in Dayton.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Senior citizen homes.
Yep.
That's high schools.
Yeah, that's the big one. Yeah. Like gambling, some sort of gambling function. I come in as the guest speaker. They give me a couple awards.
Is that Gambling Anonymous?
Yeah, Gambling Anonymous. I come in and try to show what the dangers of gambling can do. You just show my face, and
Right.
they'll all get scared.
Is that at a preschool?
Yeah. Yeah, it's Dayton Elementary.
Right, exactly. Well, Casey McCollister, Elliot Rearing, nice to see you guys. Luke Brenneman, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Day 3 for you, right?
That is day 3, yes, sir.
Day 3, nice. And, you made some prediction a minute ago, which we're going to talk about here in a second, and we just found out it's true. It's about the Bengals playing on prime time. We went around the room a little bit yesterday and figured out, what games we'd like to see the Bengals play in prime time, one home, one on the road. And I don't think anybody picked the team they're actually going to play on the road in prime time, or at least one of the games in prime time. There may be more. And that's coming up here shortly. Rock solid win from top to bottom last night. And let's face it, wins have been mighty hard to come by for the Cincinnati Reds over the last 3 weeks. They beat Arizona 6-2. To even the series at 1 game apiece, the series finale, they call it the rubber game. Wonder where that came from. You hear it all the time, right?
You do hear it all the time.
I used to always say the decisive game of the series, but a lot of people say the rubber game of the series. I wonder where that came from. 3:40 p. Eastern time today from out in Chase Field. Lefty Andrew Abbott starts it for the Reds. Right-hander, Louisville native, postseason hero last year. Brandon Pfaadt gets the ball for Arizona. Cincinnati has not won a series since April the 21st, and here we sit on May the 15th. That's when they finished off the sweep of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Now, the team is starting to show, fellas. They're starting to show some signs of coming out of this lengthy slump. 3 straight games, they've put up 10 or more hits. 3 straight games, they've put up at least 5 runs. In fact, the 6 last night was the first time they have hit that figure in 15 games. And Hunter Greene, he was mighty good. We're going to talk a lot about him coming up shortly. He goes 7 innings, allows 5 hits, 2 runs. All the strikeout crowd in the world losing their mind because he only fanned 5. Just get the strikeouts when you need them, okay? Get the guy out on the first or second or third pitch, right? Randy Johnson used to talk about it all the time. Yeah, I strike out a lot of guys. In fact, only Nolan Ryan struck out more batters in the history of baseball than Randy Johnson. And he said, I'd rather get a guy out on the first pitch.
Damn.
It's easy for him to say. It's like saying
very easy.
It's like saying you don't need money when you have a lot of money.
That's right.
Right? You don't need strikeouts when you got a lot of stinking strikeouts.
That's right.
Anyway, he was sharp last night, and we're going to talk about Hunter here shortly. Your guy, Candelario.
That is my guy.
That's your guy.
That's my guy.
A big hit. Reed's big guy, who's not here today, his guy, Benson, hit a 2-run home run, broke a 2-2 tie. Your guys, Casey, Espinal, and Fairchild.
Come on. Those are my guys?
Those are your guys. They came up with run-scoring pinch hits.
They did.
Those were big.
Those were big. Those were big time. Yesterday was the first time I watched it in like a full game in like 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
A full game?
The full game. From start
Beginning to
finish.
end. You watched a full baseball game.
I did.
I thought you just told me you watched some Caitlin Clark last night.
Yeah.
I did. I did watch Caitlin Clark last night.
What time did Caitlin Clark end?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't watch all of Caitlin Clark. I watched the Reds.
So you're a fake Caitlin Clark fan, huh?
Come
not
on,
giving him the
come
whole
on, guys.
not-
I
not
watched
giving
the
him whole
majority
attention.
of the Caitlin Clark game and switched over to the Reds.
You know you've gotten to the big leagues. We'll get to. I'll hold this thought. So overall, a really good night for the Reds, and they needed it. David Bell was named to the National League's coaching staff yesterday for the All-Star game by the league's skipper this summer, Arizona's Torey Lovullo, and good for David Bell. The NFL schedule is officially released tonight, but games keep trickling out. So we know the Bengals are playing Week 2 a Sunday afternoon at Kansas City. We now know, Luke Brenneman, you predicted, it will be what?
Sunday Night Football Week 6 against the New York Giants?
The
In
football
Meadowlands,
Giants.
The New York Football Giants. They're going to play Philadelphia on a Sunday afternoon at home, Week 8. The following week, Week 9, the Raiders come to town for an afternoon game. So we know 4 of the games. We know all the opponents, but we know when and where and what time 4 of the games are going to be played. We also know they will not be playing internationally again this year. The league announced its overseas slate earlier this morning. We know the Jets, we already knew they're going to play in Brazil. They're also going to play in London. The Jaguars, for a second straight year, will play back-to-back home games in London. One against the Bears, the other against the Patriots. Other teams playing overseas, Carolina, the Giants, and Minnesota. Your guy, J.J. McCarthy.
Going to be good.
Who's going to be good?
No
JJ.
Michigan guy.
JJ's going to be good?
It's going to be good.
Why wasn't he very good in college?
Well, he won
lost
a
one
national
game.
title and came runner-up in
I
the
guess.
other
He
one.
didn't throw a lot of footballs as the quarterback.
I mean,
in
it's
the
hard
Yeah.
for me to
Marines.
say that wearing this Ohio State shirt, but J.J. McCarthy was pretty damn good.
He's
He
a
was-
winner.
He was a winner. I can't say he
I
wasn't
mean,
a winner.
all these athletic quarterbacks get drafted and glorified for all these things they can do, and at the end of the day, it's typically the quote-unquote game managers of the world who are, the last 4 quarterbacks left every
Interesting.
year. So,
It's a good point.
I mean, Kirk Cousins would throw for 400 every game and had all the, stats to show for it, but he
Never
obviously
wins.
didn't take the Vikings anywhere outside of the
It's a fair point.
miracle.
No, nowhere. Kirk Cousins. Took him
just sa-
nowhere.
I'm just saying, JJ had a couple games where he was throwing less than 15 passes.
You're right. He did.
And this is a pass-heavy league.
It is.
And you have Justin Jefferson, which means it's a pass-heavy offense. So you're going to be asking him to essentially double his output from college. It's a lot. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see if he even starts. I think there's talk about Sam Darnold.
Lots of talk about Sam
Boy,
Darnold.
being the starter. NBA news. We called it right here, or at least some of us called it right here. There was no way Denver was losing Game 5 at home last night to Minnesota. No chance. I said I'm not a gambler, only sin I don't have. But if I had that one, I said bet everything you got on Denver to cover. And they covered.
You did.
3-time league MVP, the Joker. 40 points, 7 rebounds, 13 assists. Nuggets 112, Minnesota 97. Game 6 in Minneapolis tomorrow night. More to come on that. Big Game 5 for the New York Knicks. They clobber Indiana at Madison Square Garden, 121-91. Jalen Brunson goes for 44. 5th time in this postseason he's gone for 40 or more. I think you called that one, Luke. Moeller High alum Miles McBride pours in 17. He added 4 assists. The Pacers try to keep the series alive tomorrow night up the road in Indy. I'll be at a college baseball game tomorrow night.
Really?
Luke's broadcasting big weekend this weekend against Michigan.
Oh.
Indiana baseball.
How
Final
about that?
3 games of the regular year.
It's big.
I'm surprised you're not with the Bearcats. Bearcats are having themselves a hell of a
They
season,
are.
I think. I think they're trying to fight for the tournament there. I know that they clinched for the conference tournament, which I did not know that not every team makes the
Yeah.
conference tournament in baseball. But I believe if they win out, I'm pretty sure they're in the
Well, if
big
they
dance.
win out, yeah.
I don't know who they got. I don't know enough about UC baseball. But is Indiana baseball good enough?
They are good. It's weird because typically when you talk about the Big Ten and someone who didn't follow college baseball until I started announcing these games was the Big Ten, as powerful as a conference as it is kind of in everything, baseball is run through the South. So, top 25 rankings, Indiana was in it at one point at the start of the year. They're not really anywhere near it right now. So it's just like the basketball tournament. You get an at-large bid or you get the auto bid from winning the conference tournament. So it's like a four-way race atop the Big Ten regular season title right now. They're one of the teams in it, and then obviously they will have a chance to win the tournament. So they're like the definition of a bubble team when it comes to the big dance.
And it's the same deal in the Big Ten as it is for many other conferences that have so many members now. Not every team qualifies for the Big Ten baseball tournament.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, that game's up the road in Indy tomorrow night. Maybe we'll sneak off and I'll go to that instead of the baseball game. Tonight in Boston, the top seed in the East, the Celtics can finish off the Cavaliers 4-1, tip-off 7P. Out West, critical Game 5 tonight. The West top seed, Oklahoma City. They won Game 4 in Dallas to tie that one up at 2 games apiece. Tip-off 9:30 NHL, if you care. Boston stays alive against Florida after a 2-1 win last night. Carolina leads 3-2 with Game 6 Friday night in Boston. The Oilers
No. Carolina does not lead.
No, not Carolina. I'm sorry, Florida. Forgive me. Oilers beat the Canucks 3-2 last night to even that series at 2-2. Tonight, your Dallas Stars. Why are you a big Dallas Stars guy? I hear this nonsense all the time. Why?
I'm a big Dallas Stars guy because Reed's a big Dallas Stars guy. Why is Reed a big Dallas Stars guy? I don't know. He makes it up in his head. It's a fake fandom, similar to his Cubs fandom and his Xavier Musketeer fandom. So what happened, Tom, is we went to a game this year. We went to a Blue Jackets and we went to a Dallas Stars versus Columbus Blue Jackets in Columbus hockey game. I loved it. Had a great time. Our Stars won. That's our team. But Casey, he has a fake fandom as well, Tom, with the Colorado Avalanche. So he's going to be rooting for the Avalanche. I'm going to be rooting for the Stars.
And you went to a Colorado Avalanche game.
I did go to a Colorado.
What did you say about that game?
I thought
you said it was really fun and maybe one of the best games you ever been to.
I did say that.
That was on your big road trip.
That was on our big road trip. That was a very fun. Listen, hockey games in person may be the best in-person sport. Maybe. You could convince me of it. Watching hockey on TV, I'm not a big fan of. But to each their own. I'm going to hope the Dallas Stars finish off the series tonight. And Casey, let's play this game again. Name 4 players on the Colorado Avalanche.
Casey Middlestat, Nathan McKinnon. I don't remember Ranton's first name.
I think it's Nico.
Nico Ranton? Yeah, that's right.
That's 2.5. One more. Come on. Here we go. You got it.
I can't remember anything.
He's out of time. They're that big Colorado Avalanche guy there, Tom.
Do you know for Dallas Stars?
Of course I don't, because I'm very open about not being a Dallas Stars fan.
The only reason I'm an Avalanche fan is just to have some opposing viewpoints
why
here
not?
in NHL.
It's like you rooting for Notre Dame basketball.
Yeah.
Right. You're the only guy.
The Fighting Leprechauns is
The
what I
Fighting
said.
Leprechauns. That's exactly right.
The Avs are at least good.
What?
Yeah, they're
The
good.
Avalanche are always in the
Yeah,
the
they're
mix
good.
of it. Notre
You're
Dame
right.
basketball
And these had some good teams.
hardly exists.
They've had some good teams. The Rangers look to win their series tonight against Carolina. I'll get that straight. That's actually tomorrow night, that game. Caitlin Clark, you watched a little bit of it. Made her WNBA debut for Indiana last night. Scored 20. She turned it over 10 times. Wasn't a great game. You said her team stinks.
Yeah, I think her team kind of stinks. But she also panicked a lot. Was double teamed quite a bit. They were really focusing in on her every time she got the ball. They were just collapsing on her. And I think it's a whole different level of physicality too. I didn't realize the jump that would be. But man, she was getting bullied out there. I say bullied. She was getting tossed around quite a bit.
Yeah.
And she, I guess, said that in an interview that she was expecting that anyways. So for her being the first game, and that's a team that's actually pretty good that she played against. I can't remember their names already off the top of my head.
It's the
but
Sun.
The Suns,
Connecticut Sun.
Connecticut Suns.
You think of Connecticut, you think of the sun shining, right?
That's right. That's what I
Sure,
think of.
I don't think of the Phoenix Suns at all. So they were apparently pretty good last year. They have one of the top WNBA scores of all time on that team. So they just didn't play very well against a really good team, and they lost.
They got hammered. But she said, look, a lot to learn. First game, and you learn from it,
right.
and you move on. Just like we're learning about taking breaks for our friends at the
ESPN Dayton, Wing AM,
The
14.
Wing, that's a word I was looking for.
The Wing, 1410.
1410 The Wing, ESPN Radio in Dayton. We're back with more after this. So when we throw to a break on YouTube, are we just sitting here on camera?
Just for 5 seconds.
For 5
You got to
seconds,
do it for 5 seconds. There's no other really way to do it, unfortunately, because when you have to edit the audio, we need the breaks to see where we're cutting it. That's just some of the inside baseball here, Tom.
That's right.
Now, a lot of radio hosts, I will say, a lot of radio hosts do pre-record just like this, so we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones.
Well, you still have very close ties to a lot of the big leaguers
would
on
know,
radio in
wouldn't
this
you,
town. I mean, you're tight with the Mo Eggers and the Audie Elmores and the Tony Pikes and
Oh, yeah.
the
That's
like, Lance McAllister, all the boys over at WLW.
Oh, yeah.
Elliot used to be in radio.
I
forgot about that.
I did used to be in radio. That is true. I did work there. But listen, yeah, I'm a seasoned vet, as it were.
Yes.
A seasoned vet.
Despite your youth.
Despite my youth.
Not an ex-professional.
That's
Not
what
an
they,
ex-professional.
That's what they used to say about me. I was a seasoned veteran in my youth. And now that ship has long sailed.
Damn.
We're going to have an interesting chat today. Craig Sandlin, one of our regulars here on the show, right, who for many, many years worked in college athletics at Green Bay, at Bowling Green, Hartford, among others. But we're going to discuss a little bit that the move that was made yesterday, which is I find it fascinating. And I mean, look, don't take it from me. Some of the quotes about Doug Gottlieb. Remember, he started his career, highly recruited guy at Notre Dame, got in some trouble, left to go to Oklahoma State, played for Eddie Sutton there, was a hell of a player. I mean, hard-nosed, tough,
Oh, yeah. point
guard, gamer, total gamer. Played in Europe forever, like a dozen years, and he's been this well-known TV analyst for Fox. I've done a number of games with him, 2 or 3, I think. That's not a big number, but 2 or 3, I think, through Big East games. And he does a national sports talk show on Fox Sports Radio, right? Pretty controversial guy, not afraid to, sort of lay it out there, and if people like it, great. If they don't, he doesn't care. He's still going to do this talk show every day for Fox Sports Radio, but yesterday, Doug Gottlieb was named head basketball coach at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. They play in the same conference, the Horizon League, with our buddy Darren Horn and NKU. Did you know your alma mater had a basketball team, NKU?
Oh, yeah, Tom. I did. They almost beat Houston 2 years ago. They barely missed out on the conference tournament this year. So
Well, I mean, look, this is Luke. Justin says you're the president of the club. Luke is the president of the club Elliott. Are you the president of the Elliott fan club?
I don't know
assuming
what
that's
does that
he
mean.
said.
I don't even know what that means.
actually
I don't
don't
know
know
what
if-
it means.
I don't know what club we're talking about, so I fear comment on this.
Yeah, I don't know what club we're talking about here.
Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, it's probably a good idea. I'm not supposed to talk about one radio show or one radio station. While
Yeah,
we're
you
on
can.
another.
Oh, yeah, you can because they're all affiliates of the Reds and the radio. They're all the same family.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because the Reds, the Kinder and Kev show won't be on today on the radio. Well, it might be. I don't think it will
It
be
won't
though.
be.
It will not be because of the Reds. So similarly to WLW, this station also feeds the Reds games.
Okay. But anyway, so we're going to visit with Craig Sandlin. He's been a regular with us, watches the show all the time. But we've also had him on the show. You've seen him on Chatterbox Reds. And he's going to join us in about 20 minutes to talk about this whole Gottlieb thing and how it went down. He's got some insight from Green Bay
Oh yeah,
about this, correct?
yeah,
correct.
Okay.
He was worked in the athletic department of Green Bay. I was talking about this with a couple of my friends yesterday. One of them being our good friend Paul, Quitter Paul, and I asked him, "Hey Paul, what do you think of this? Is this a joke?" Because it seems like that, right? You bring on a radio host who has zero coaching experience, to man up a Division I basketball program. It seems strange. Then it comes out that not only will he be doing that, he'll be heading up a Division I basketball program when he's never had the experience to do so. He will also be continuing to do the radio show. He's going to keep his full-time job while working an additional full-time job. It has to be a publicity move, right? This is just a publicity move. They don't care about the basketball. They don't care about wins and losses. This is just to get Doug Gottlieb there and say, hey, everybody, we got Doug Gottlieb, radio host, coaching our basketball team. It has to be.
I got to tell you what was interesting. When they made the release, they being the University of Wisconsin Green Bay, if you go just search up Doug Gottlieb and you'll see this thing pop up on Google. The amount of people, and I'm talking about big leaguers now, Tom Izzo, right? Bruce Pearl, all these different big-time college basketball coaches giving their thoughts about Gottlieb becoming a head coach at Green Bay.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting stuff. I mean, these guys are like all in, thinking that he's going to be a really good coach. Gottlieb, who is Jewish, played, I wish I knew how to pronounce it, and please forgive me, but I think it's a Maccabiah games or something. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. I don't know how to say it. But it's basically like the Olympic Games, okay, for the Jewish community. It's a big deal, especially the basketball. It's really a big deal in Israel. And he played for Bruce Pearl, who's the head coach, of course, at Auburn. Pearl is also Jewish. And Pearl, I mean, he just raves about Gottlieb in this press release, and he thinks he's going to be a great coach. But I'm with you. It just seems weird. I mean, if there's a lot of prep time involved when you're doing these national radio shows. This isn't just you show up and talk, although a lot of guys could show up and talk and do it.
And granted, they probably have a bunch of producers that's going to help, and they'll get the topics and the guests, and he just shows up. Maybe that's what he does. I'm with you. I don't think that's what's happening there. I think he's putting in prep time. I think he's putting in work. But if you're manning up a college basketball program, a Division I college basketball program, you're going to have to spend time recruiting. You're going to have to devote more than 100% of your time to this team. And that is obviously not going to be the case when you're Monday through Friday, whatever it is, 3 to 6 on Fox Sports Radio. He's over there speaking about sports, just any sport he wants. Yeah, that seems strange to me. It seems like I was having a debate with somebody. What do you think is going to be more of a failure? Dion at Colorado or Doug Gottlieb at the University of Wisconsin Green Bay? Because it seems like this stint by Doug Gottlieb is going to be a failure by any means.
I don't know. I got to wait and see. I was talking beforehand. Justin continues to ask, is Marty coming on today? No, Marty's big leaguer. He's playing Pinehurst today.
No, he's not.
Oh, yeah. 3 days in a row.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. Big league operator.
That's unreal.
Let's get that van out. Let's go to Pinehurst, Elliot.
That's please. How did he get invited to that?
You'd bring that course to his knees.
Oh,
you would.
Well, maybe.
Luke, you would.
What?
You tear up Pinehurst.
No, I think I would struggle a lot.
I don't know. I think you'd tear it up.
I don't know. A lot of sand,
me
a lot
Brenny.
of weird bunkers with hazards and mini stems growing at it. That's a weird place.
If Brenny and I can do alternating shot, we'd shoot one under par. We'd shoot one under par.
A little scramble, a four-way chatterbox scramble.
That's.
I mean, we definitely would never use his tee ball.
No. Everything else, I'm okay.
Maybe he'd throw in a putt.
That's right.
Good
Ground ball
wedge
to
shot.
You're an iron guy off the tee, right?
Well, sometimes.
No, he should be.
I think I'm an iron guy off the tee too. My drives, it just doesn't matter. It goes right, probably right or left, doesn't matter. Can't control it.
Or a ground ball to the shortstop. At any rate, I wonder what it would be like for you v. Luke this summer in a golf match.
I'd love to.
Last year, Sean, you had Trace.
Listen, there's a long list of people that are begging to play me in golf just because they want to feel better about themselves. And when that time comes, when I play everybody in the world, Brenny's is now on the list. So let's just add it. I think there's 15 people on the waiting list. He's there too. I think Marty's on the waiting list. I think you're on the waiting list too.
I am.
You're all on the waiting list.
All right. Okay. All right. Before we get to Craig Sandlin in about 15 minutes, let's start with the Reds. We generally like to kind of walk through what happened the night before. Your thoughts, Casey, you said you watched the whole game last night.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Your thoughts about the Red Legs?
My thoughts are Hunter Greene is getting better and better every single outing.
No
it feels
doubt.
like. This is his third 7-inning game pitched. The thing that I will say is that he's kind of exchanged getting strikeouts for just more efficient pitching to where like he might get hit a little bit more, but those hits are turning into outs anyways in the outfield. So more control. That was a big thing that I saw. The other thing was I wanted to mention this yesterday because all last week we talked about how there was 6 guys under the Mendoza line.
Yeah.
Now there's only 2 or 3 guys?
Well, that's not right. Is that right?
In our starting lineup?
Maybe.
I think it's only 2 or 3 at this point. Everyone else is above 225.
Well, the Mendoza line is 200.
Right. I'm just saying, like, everyone's like at 225 in that 220 range right now.
I'm going to do a fact check on you, Casey. Go ahead. Continue with your thought, though, please.
But they're hitting the ball. I mean, like,
It's like
we had
Biden
13.
talking about 9% inflation when he took over. He just keeps saying that.
What?
And everybody and his brother knows it's not even, I mean, it's like ridiculous not true. But go ahead.
Regardless,
I digress.
we have a lot of guys that are hitting the ball right now. It's been, 3 games in a row where we've had 10 hits in a row?
Yep.
So I think they're starting to get out of the rut. We're starting to see where where we were at the bottom of the dip. We're starting to climb up. And let's be real here. We've been struggling with those 1-run games. That needs to change for a significant change to happen with this Reds team. But games like this are needed to get back on track. You need to be able to just play and dominate from start to finish like they did. Like, even Jonathan India is, like, jumping up and catching these.
Yeah, he's a hell of a. He made two
they
really good plays in that game. Back-to-back
played,
plays.
Yeah, defense played great yesterday. I shouldn't say great. They played good. They played good enough, and they looked good yesterday. Like, that's the team that I expected the entire season. And it's only just, been amplified with the pitching that's been going on. So those are my initial thoughts on that.
Well, FYI on Hunter Greene. His last 6 starts, he has a 2.5 ERA.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he's
His
getting
last
better
6 starts.
every year, too.
And he's gotten better, that's right, every single year. Every single year. So look, I have not drank the Kool-Aid like so many of you, okay? I'm a show-me guy. Show me what you got. I don't care about a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. I don't care about it. It means nothing to me. 0. The question is, do you get him out? He walked 4 guys his last start against Arizona, so he made the same start against the same team, back-to-back starts. Significantly better in this one than he was the last one, especially with his control. Threw just over 100 pitches in 7 innings. This guy's a horse now. He's a horse.
My thing on Hunter Greene was that it seemed like he was never going to progress. It seemed like we were going to do the same song and dance where he'd go 4 innings, he'd throw 105 pitches, he'd strike out 10 in those 4 innings, he'd be efficient. But again, going long in games, in my opinion, is significantly more important. Saying that, realistically, in today's Major League Baseball, you don't go 8 innings anymore. It's not going to happen. Going 7 innings is a stretch for most pitchers. If you can get the 6 innings right, if you can get to the 6 innings number, that's what everybody asks, and he's done that as of late. Again, or at least he's gone to the 6th inning and maybe been taken out in that inning. And here's the thing. Also, I think he's had one bad game. He's had 2 bad games this season, I'd argue. And even those 2 bad games, you can make an argument that one of them wasn't that bad, and that was 7 innings, 4 runs against the Phillies. He's had 1 really bad game. The rest has been very good. So he has been progressing. If he can stay healthy, if he can keep the velo up on his fastball, he's going to be a great pitcher. He's going to be worth that contract. I have to believe that. But my overall thoughts as we wind down this segment here, the Reds are playing better, as Casey said. They're scoring more runs. They look better offensively for sure over the past 2 series. They got a long way to go still. It's still an uphill fight. You can't lose this game today. You got to try to win the series before you face on the World Series contending Los Angeles Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani had his 12th home run for the Dodgers last night. He leads the league in doubles. So the Reds pitching staff is going to be facing a gauntlet coming up, and the offense needs to show up. Now, I will say what sparked that 12-game winning streak, what sparked that hot streak last season.
Oh, you're talking about last year?
Last
they
year,
had a
that's right.
12-game winning streak.
I had to bring it up again.
Okay. I thought you had forgotten it. But
Well,
good. I'm glad you remembered it.
We'll take a drink every time we mention the 12-game winning streak. A lot of that was
Well,
started.
they're giving out shots.
That's
shots
right.
to people in San Francisco. So
lot-
it's cool. It's all right.
The change in tides for the Reds last year, when it started to say, all right, this team might be pretty damn good, is when we played the Dodgers. And you had the Will Benson home run, and you had all these really cool things happen. So hopefully the Reds are able to do it. The Reds have played well against the Dodgers over the past couple seasons. I'm hoping that continues tonight, or excuse me, on Friday. We got to play well today, though.
No, they play tomorrow night.
They do play tomorrow night. I was right.
4-game series.
I was right. Okay,
Yep.
good.
4-game series tomorrow night.
Good. We're gonna take a quick break. ESPN 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back to Off the Bench. We still have Craig Sandlin coming up in about 12 minutes or so to talk about the hiring of Doug Gottlieb as head basketball coach at the University of Wisconsin Green Bay. Not that it's a huge story for many of you in greater Cincinnati or Dayton, but it is an interesting story.
Very
And
interesting.
every now and again, to step out of the box a little bit, it's pretty nice. Now, I'm not going to say amazed, but I scratch my head, and Luke, you are one of the all-time great front runners, I've come to learn in your 19 years on this earth. But people go so hot and cold on the Reds, literally on a game-by-game basis. They win, they're all excited. They lose, they're the worst team of all time, and trade them all.
And I feel like that's a lot of the stuff I've talked about in, now my third day on this show, and we talk about the Reds, is how hyped up the offseason expectations were to where it's made it like that. It's like, this is a young team, and I feel like a lot, or at least this crowd we're talking about when it comes to the ups and downs on a daily basis, that doesn't happen with really any MLB team. It's typically a series basis where you can evaluate things, and that's why today, as a rubber game, they matter no matter if, you're bottom of the MLB or top of the MLB. Rubber games are what, pushes a team around 500 to make the playoffs, or you fall short of it. And I think at one point, maybe come the midway point this year, the Reds were either going to be looking back on this show talking about, hey, they never really won the rubber game, and that's why they're going to have to take a lot of work to make a playoff push. Or, hey, they got hot. They're now over 500, and we're looking at a team that, everyone's excited to talk about. So, the rubber games do matter, but kind of on a day-by-day basis, everyone probably needs to relax a little bit.
I think so, especially you.
Come on. Listen, I'm a reactionary.
Especially you.
I'm a reactionary person. When I watch these games, I want my team to win. And when year after year, I think, 6 straight years, the Reds have been under 500 up until this point in the season, you start to get restless. And well, as Luke just said, my expectations were drastically higher than they've ever been because of what happened last season. Whether or not that was fair of me to put those expectations on these guys doesn't matter. I had them, and so did most of the fan base. So you look around, you see your team lose, 14-16, 14-17, and you say, what the hell's going on here? Is this team the team we thought they were? And you're starting to see a little bit of sparks here and there of maybe, they are, but we still haven't seen consistently enough. Casey brought it up yesterday, the issue of consistency with this ball club, especially when it comes to batting, hitting, offensively, they're not consistent enough. And that's my biggest gripe. That'll always be my biggest gripe because it seems like they go on these stretches where they look lost. They look helpless. They look like a team that shouldn't even be competing in Major League Baseball at times. But then they come back and they score 7. The Elly De La Cruz, it's a home run, steals 3 bases in a row, steals home in Milwaukee. It's just like there are these moments, but you got to consistently put together games. And that's what I want. I want a consistent stretch of games here where the Reds look okay. They look good. They had that at the beginning of the year. They looked okay. They looked serviceable. And then they lost it. The wheels fell off. But last night, great win. It's great to get back on track. If Alexis Diaz didn't blow it in Game 1, this would be a completely different story.
You're going for the sweep.
That's right. You'd say you're beating a decent team in Arizona. I don't think they're the world's best team.
No, they're not.
You could argue they're not a playoff team.
Yeah, you could for sure.
But when you talk about wins and losses on a tough stretch, beat the teams you should beat, and that's the Arizona Diamondbacks. That should have been the San Francisco Giants this past weekend.
Yeah, because they're not very good.
They're not very good either. So that's my point. That's my big gripe. I think they are playing well. I think they're playing better, but you got to keep it rolling here. You got to keep it rolling today. Who's is it Abbott today?
They got Abbott today. Brandon, Pap, you were getting ready to say something?
Yeah, I will say, and I agree with Elliot. I know I said this is a team that's had a schedule, so everybody wants to say they're playing terribly right now. I also think kind of the hot start, playing 4 games over 500, 14-10 at one point. I would make the argument that the Reds weren't necessarily playing great baseball, though. The average was still way down in the bottom third of the MLB. It was mainly these base running mistakes were kind of going the Reds' way. They were stealing bags, they were getting timely hits, and they were winning, the rubber game like we talked about. So it is a difference like that. But last year during the good stretch of baseball, that was great baseball consistently to the point where we've mentioned every MLB team goes on those stretches where it's like, hey, we can't lose. No matter who pitches, they're going to throw a gem and we're going to hit, whether it's the 9th inning when we have to or early on. So I think we're coming up on a time now past the 40-game mark where the Reds need to put together a stretch. And I'm not saying a double-digit game win streak, but maybe rally and win 2 to 3 series in a row.
Yes.
Go, 3-1 in a 4-game series, then go take 2 of 3 from someone. And then that's like actually momentum, because winning game 2 of a 3-game set with Arizona, it gives us something to talk about today and get excited about winning 2 out of 3. But we're still not really playing good baseball yet because we got a 6-2 win against, Arizona's 4th guy in their rotation.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think,
in fact, that guy will be out of their rotation by the time they get to July. I think he's got a good future, got a good arm, but I don't. They've got really good pitching there, and I don't think he'll remain in the starting rotation.
Luke made a good point earlier in the year when they were winning games at a somewhat consistent rate. I will say they didn't look great. They the series in Washington, it took a miracle on that Sunday, on that Easter Sunday, to hit. I think they were down 1 or 2 in that inning, and then they came back with 2 very clutch home runs. It took timely hits, as Luke just said. So but here's the thing: you win, you win.
That's exactly right.
You can't sit here and criticize a win ever.
Agreed.
So that's the part of it where if you're finding ways to win. But how about our guy, All-Star David Bell? All-Star David Bell. He got the boys going. He brought in a couple guys last night. Santiago Espinal. I got I think 5 texts, Tom. He's like, what in God's name is David Bell doing? Pinch hitting Santiago Espinal. And by God, Santiago Espinal delivered a big RBI. That is your guy, All-Star David Bell, the All-Star manager.
He also
of the
pulled
Cincinnati
the trigger
Reds.
the following batter by inserting Stuart
That's
Fairchild.
right. Yeah. That's right.
Who came up, both of those guys, it was a 4-2 game, still very much a game, and both of those guys came up. Espinal, pinch hit RBI single. Fairchild, pinch hit RBI single. David Bell.
That's your guy.
Pushing the button.
Let me ask you guys this.
Wheeling and dealing after coming off the stomach flu.
When do you think
Master class, says Mouse Cop. Master class.
When do you think this slander will stop for our All-Star manager, David Bell? When do you think do you think it'll ever stop this season? Or do you think it'll be an ongoing story?
I don't think it stops for any manager in any town in any season.
I agree with you.
I think certain guys get roped. My God, I remember I was doing the Cubs games one year. I can't remember what it was. One of my last year or two there, 94, 95, whatever it was. And Tom Treblehorn, who had really been a good manager for the Milwaukee Brewers for a long time, he was named the Cubs skipper. And they open the season. They lose their first 7 games at home. Well, in Chicago, it ain't an easy place to get your butt kicked.
That's right.
That's tough sled.
Tough sledding indeed.
And he decides after the game, and Tom Treblehorn is a fascinating guy, still alive. Really super smart, intellectual, creative, interesting guy. Really, really interesting guy. He decides it would be a good idea to go out after they lose their 7th straight game to begin the season, to go out on a platform in front of that firehouse down the left field line. You know where the firehouse is here at Wrigley?
Yeah.
Right on Waveland Avenue?
Mm-hmm.
He wants to go out and address the masses.
Oh, boy.
Not good. Now, I don't see David Bell pulling that stunt.
I don't think so.
But until the Reds, look, it doesn't matter who manages.
I was going to ask
It
you that.
doesn't matter. Right? No, what I'm saying is it doesn't matter who manages in what town until you get a team to the playoffs. Okay? And for different expectation levels, let's face it, the Reds fans that Luke brought up a minute ago, their expectation level for this season is this team to reach the postseason, right? If they make the postseason, David Bell's a hero.
That's right.
He's a hero. And you can say, well, he's already taken them to a postseason. Nah, that COVID thing. I mean, all the talent on that team, and they were a 500 team. They didn't score one run in 2 playoff games. Nobody gets any credit for that stuff. For me. Guys played hard, that's fine. You played whatever game, 50, 60 games, 62. I think they were 31-31, if I'm not mistaken, or 30-30. I mean, who cares? But this year, they're expecting him to get this team to the playoffs. And what has happened, in fairness to Bell, and I'm not his biggest fan, but in fairness of what has happened to David Bell, this is not the lineup which the Reds fans had the high expectations for. That group has not played one game together this season. Not one.
Yep.
Marte has not played a game. Friedel has barely played a game. McClain has not played a single game. Okay? And so this isn't the team you thought you were going to get.
100%.
Because the pitching staff, starting pitching staff, bullpen, you really And strangely enough, we need your guy back because I want to get to him later.
Which guy?
The Reds miss your guy.
Oh, my guy's not coming back. I don't think so.
Sad.
I don't think there would be room for my guy to come back. I think you'd have to cut one of them.
Are you kidding me?
They sent Sam Moll down with a zero with
he
a
had options.
Correct.
He's the only guy that
correct.
had.
If you bring Ian Jabot up, you're gonna have to cut somebody.
Ian Jabot is better than Buck Farmer.
He is better than Buck Farmer, but the Reds aren't going to cut Buck Farmer. You know that. They're not going to cut. They're not going to cut ties with whatever millions of dollars they're paying Buck Farmer this season. It's not going to happen. Let me ask you this: how many managers are there in today's game, Tom, where you look at him and you're like, this guy can lead a team. Any team you give him, he's gonna go lead him to a World Series. There's
World Series is tough.
Lead him to the postseason.
World Series
lead him
is
to the
tough.
postseason.
I think that you have
Craig Counsell.
Right.
Craig
Without
Counsell.
a doubt. Without a doubt.
You got
Craig
Bruce
Counsell.
Bochy.
Bruce Bochy. And look, I'd have to sit here and look through, and I know we got Craig coming up, right?
We're gonna
take a break before Craig.
Yep, in like 30 seconds.
All right. Well, let's take a break.
Yep.
And I'll take a break. You guys,
We'll do our
talk
ads.
amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves.
That's right. We'll be right back
We'll be
on
right
ESPN Dayton.
All right, so we are off the radio
Does
right
he know
now.
the "What's up, brother" thing?
I told him to start the show with that.
What's up, brother?
Special teams, special plays, special players.
That guy had his run in the sun. Nobody's gonna do that any longer. How long does that guy have? What's his name? Twitch,
Sketch?
Switch, Sketch.
Sketch.
Yeah, whatever it is. Lilo and Sketch, whatever that is. Yeah, that guy's had his run in the sun.
He had an all-time run. I won't lie.
Yeah,
I mean, he was playing football with like C.J. Stroud and the Texans. He announced an NFL draft pick.
I forgot that he did do that.
Yeah, I mean,
oh my goodness.
I wouldn't be surprised if he could very well stick around from like getting sponsored by the NFL or something like that. But it's besides the point.
You could do something with Madden or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's not like a one and done sort of guy. He's a streamer, so I mean,
That's right.
Like he's still gonna have a fan base, but regardless, we have a fan base that is probably very.
Real quick, sorry. FC Cincinnati plays tonight, right? Is that right?
Yeah, Atlanta United. That's the. Actually, I had mentioned this like on Monday that this is the revenge game for Miles Robinson. It's not because we played them like
Earlier
a month.
on?
Yeah, we played them like a month ago.
We won, right? Or do we tie?
I don't remember what the result was.
He doesn't remember the result. Let me go look.
But I do know that actually I think
We won.
we won. Okay, so yeah, I mean we already played them one time.
That was the one we were trailing, right? I think we were trailing and then we took the lead. Yep, I was
Yeah.
right. So I know more about FC than you.
Sure, you take it away then. Go for it.
Nah, I don't know any of the players. Did we have our goalie back yet?
Yeah, we've had Celentano back for a couple games. Yeah.
Good.
And I think he's made a big difference. He was a big time for us last week. So, yeah, Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that game tonight.
Sure.
It's always nice to have a midweek primetime MLS game on a Wednesday night in the middle of the Reds season, and so that's gonna be. I had mentioned I was gonna watch the Reds game tonight.
Well, it's at 3:00.
Well, hopefully it doesn't go I think they start at 7:30 for.
Yeah, it's not going to 7:30.
Yeah.
There won't be.
So I'll be watching. I'll be watching it back to back, is what you're telling me.
That's correct. You will be watching it back to back, which is more than fine. I think I'm going to tune into FC tonight. I'm going to have a full recap tomorrow for you.
Do you have access to it?
Access to what?
To Apple TV.
Well, on Wednesdays we play trivia, and on Wednesdays when we play trivia,
you are able to watch it.
They have it at the bar.
Gotcha.
So they have the game.
Should I do the ads real quick?
Well, we can save the ads. Is Craig there?
Craig's here.
All right, let's
get to Craig, and then
let's get him set up.
Just give me 5 seconds of silence, and then we'll get back on here. So hold on.
All right, we're back.
We're back
on Off the Bench. We have more to talk about today, the Bengals schedule, some news from that. We have a little bit more to talk about with the Reds. We'll talk a little bit about the NBA playoffs. And if anything else comes to mind, we'll do it. Anybody in the chat,
We were talking FC Cincinnati just then, Tom, while you were gone.
I'll tell you what, I told you, I didn't realize that the head coach lives in our neighborhood, Noonan.
Really?
I met him out. You weren't here when I talked about it the other day. I was out. Casey and I was doing my show, dialed in. I'm out. My wife and I are out walking the dog. 2 weeks ago, on a Sunday evening, 6 o'clock, beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Younger couple comes walking up towards us with their dog. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? I'm kind of looking at the guy and I'm thinking he's kind of looking at me and thinking, Anyway, so find out it's Pat Noonan.
How about that?
And heard his whole story. What a great dude. I think his wife's name is Elvira. I'm pretty sure. Awesome. We were talking about all the different places they have lived. Because, if you want to learn a little bit more about Pat Noonan, we'll get to Craig Sandlin here in just 1 second. He was a great player. He's the greatest player in the history of Indiana University.
Really?
And they had for years one of the best men's soccer programs in the country. They were top 5 every year. He's the best player that's ever come out of there. Was a top pick in the MLS draft, played for years and years, won a championship, but his coaching background, and he's made multiple stops along the way, him and his wife, and I think he said they had 2 kids. But I asked him, I said, well, how you like in Cincinnati? His wife looks at me before he even answered. Said, by far, my favorite place of all the places we lived.
Really?
So they lived in Denver, Phoenix, L.A., Philadelphia, Columbus, Cincinnati. And she said, nobody could have made me believe we'd like anywhere more than Columbus. She says, and we like it here better than there.
I love that. Love
Good
it.
stuff. All right, Craig Sandlin, we've had him on the program before. He's all dialed in on the Reds, that we know. So we'll ask you, welcome to begin with, Craig. Nice to have you back with us, buddy. How you doing?
I'm great, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you back in the big chair.
It's good. It's good to be here. Numbers are down when I'm here, but I'm here. Okay. So real quick, I do want to ask you something because I know if you go to your LinkedIn page, is it Loop the app that you're the generator for, the revenue generator for? What is Loop the app?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you bringing that up. So Loop
Sure.
is a live streaming e-commerce platform specifically devoted to sports cards. So any time of the day or night, you can go onto our app, LOUPE, and we have live streaming card shops from all over the country who have boxes, packs, group breaks, anything you could be looking for your sports card needs. And they're live streaming all day. You make your purchase in the app. The shops ship it to you within the next day or two, and just streamlines the entire process for those people that don't have a local card shop in their area.
Well, it's big business. There's no doubt about that. Big business. All right,
Yep.
I want to get to you. Before you started doing this, you worked in college athletics for a long time. Correct me if I'm wrong. You had stops along the way at James Madison, Bowling Green, Green Bay, Hartford, right? I bring up Green Bay because you're able to bring a little insight to this whole thing. Elliot asked a question a second ago, is this Doug Gottlieb thing like a PR stunt? What did you think when you heard that Gottlieb is going to be the head basketball coach at the University of Wisconsin Green Bay, your former employer?
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting move to say the least. I think what it is to me is a proof of relationship building. So Doug Gottlieb is a guy who was a finalist for this job just last year when Green Bay hired Sundance Wicks, who was an assistant coach at Wyoming at the time. Now, fast forward, 12, 14 months, Wyoming opens up again because their head coach goes to take an assistant coaching job at Texas Tech. And Doug Gottlieb, over the last 14 months, has been building a relationship with the athletics director there, Josh Moon, who he met through an introduction last year as part of their search process. And so over the last 14 months, Doug Gottlieb has built this relationship. And when the job opened up again, he was a finalist last year. And the athletics director there, I don't have direct conversations with Josh about this, but essentially what it is an opportunity for them to move forward with a candidate that they're familiar with a candidate that they have faith in, and with a candidate that quite frankly, they know is bought into doing the best that they possibly can in this job because he has bigger aspirations. And that's not a knock on Green Bay by any means to say that he has bigger aspirations. No. But, people have to start somewhere. And for Doug Gottlieb, he's been trying to get into coaching for a long time. And I think, quite frankly, he hasn't necessarily been interested in an assistant coaching job. He's really been looking for a head job. And to find the athletic director that's willing to give a chance to somebody who, as Elliot mentioned earlier, does not have Division I coaching experience is a bit of a challenge. So he did his job over the last 14 months, and he built up that relationship. And now that job is open, he's able to step in and take over.
All right, you used to work there. You think about the Horizon League. Oakland had the really nice run this season. They beat Kentucky in the opening round. Could have easily won a second game. Talented team. Coach has been there forever. We know about Darren Horn here at NKU. They've been to a couple of NCAA tournaments since he took over as a head job. What's the challenge of the Green Bay job? The biggest challenge of getting them in that company with Oakland and NKU, among others?
Well, the biggest challenge for Green Bay since even before I got there was recruiting. You're talking about trying to recruit 18-year-olds, and now in today's day and age with college athletics, 18 to 22-year-olds to come live in Green Bay, which, as many of you know, is not exactly a booming metropolis. And so you're trying to get these kids to come to a school where a majority of the campus is commuter, at least at the time when I was there. I think they've grown since I left and probably have more students on campus now than they did at the time. But again, Green Bay is not exactly a Chicago with UIC, is not exactly Ann Arbor or Detroit with Oakland, is not an IUPUI in Indianapolis. So there's a lot of metropolis-based schools in the Horizon League that you're competing with. And the other piece of it is that, quite frankly, the NIL space, Green Bay's resources still have a lot of work to go. And so the biggest challenge for Doug coming into this is going to be recruiting student athletes. Now, Sundance Wicks did a great job. He was able to go out and bring in transfers and everything else to be able to build up that team and have a successful year last year in the eyes of Green Bay fans. But already for Doug Gottlieb, the reigning Horizon League Freshman of the Year, David Douglas Jr., is now in the portal. Horizon League Newcomer of the Year last year, Noah Reynolds, has already transferred to TCU. So your two best players from last year are already expressed interest in leaving. Now, obviously, Doug Gottlieb will have a chance to recruit David Douglas back to Green Bay as he hasn't formally committed to a new school yet. But, I watched an interview yesterday with Doug Gottlieb on Inside Wisconsin with John Anderson, formerly of ESPN or soon to be formerly of ESPN. And Doug talked a lot about NIL and the fact that he thinks that Green Bay has more money than people really realize. So it'll be interesting to see over the next 2 months, not even 15 to 30 days, really, what he can do on the recruiting trail and making sure that he maintains the roster that's there while bringing in some new pieces as well.
All right, last thing I want to ask you about is this. I asked you if it was a sort of a PR stunt. Part of me asking you that question before, and I'm going to rephrase it a little bit differently, I guess, is the fact that he wants to be a coach. He's made that known. He's always wanted to be a head coach, as you pointed out so accurately, and thank you for that, not an assistant. But that he's also going to keep this radio job. I mean, to me, you either want to be one thing or you want to be something else. And look, I'm not going to sit here and judge what Doug Gottlieb does. That's not my job. It's way above my pay scale. But I'm just wondering, you've been in the Green Bay community. It's one of my favorite places. I used to go for football games, and you can say, oh, yeah, it's great when they're playing at Lambeau, but what about the other days? I loved the other days I was there as much as I loved, and I've been there dozens and dozens of times. I love the little town. But doing both jobs, how do you think that goes over?
Yeah, so that's going to be the biggest challenge is his radio shows from 2 to 4 Central Time. And so that's in the heart of the day that he's going to have to step away. And that's not even counting any prep work, as you alluded to earlier. I mean, he mentioned on this interview yesterday about how he's quote unquote dark for 3 hours a day. He does the radio show from 2 to 4 Central, and then he does a 1 hour podcast in addition to that. So he's essentially quote unquote dark for 3 hours, which is a big chunk. And at a school like Green Bay, your practice slots are limited for a number of reasons, but specifically around class schedules, right? And it is a very dedicated university as it comes to the academic side. And so you're talking about potentially him either missing practices on certain days or having to delegate practice or missing part of it. The biggest indicator of how this is going to go over the next couple days is what his staff looks like. And that is the question that I don't think a whole lot of people have been able to answer at this point, is who is he going to be able to bring in on his staff? You mentioned during this interview yesterday that his first hire is actually going to be like his director of basketball operations or an executive assistant style. That's going to be focused on managing his time and making sure that he is where he needs to be when he needs to be there. But from a challenge perspective, what I don't understand is how you're going to be able to allow a head coach, which over the last 5 to 6 years, the role of head coaches altered so much with the responsibilities of NIL and everything else, that you're going to go dark for 3 hours in the middle of a day. That part's going to be a big sticking point. Now, what I would say, and you mentioned this earlier, is that Doug Gottlieb is an open book. He has very little filter, and you could even see that in his radio show. You can see that in the interview he did yesterday. He has zero filter, which in a blue-collar town like Green Bay is actually going to land pretty well with donors. So I think he's got an opportunity to really go out and bring in some money for NIL to be able to bring in student-athletes that can compete. But his coaching staff is going to have to be loaded, and if he doesn't have a former head coach on there, I'll be kind of surprised. I'm not sure what kind of pool he's working with, but that's always part of the process for an athletic director, is who are you bringing in to be your assistant coaches? And I want to know that before I hire you, because I want to know that you as a head coach are thinking through this. So we'll see who he brings in over the next couple of days as assistant coaches. Don't be surprised if you see a former head coach on that list to kind of help him with the challenges of adapting to the head coaching role. But it'll be an experiment, to say the least. But I don't expect him to be there very long either way, because ultimately his goal is going to be to continue to work towards the Oklahoma State head coach job, which is clearly his goal in all of this.
Craig, there we go. I got to take that off. Craig, I got a question for you, and I've been thinking about this. There's been a lot of coaches, and I guess really any coach that's kind of, I don't want to be disrespectful, but any coach that's worth a damn pretty much already has a radio show I think Sean Miller has his podcast. He's got a radio show on Monday night, Tuesday nights. Other coaches are doing this, but none of them are doing it full time. I have a hard time believing that during the heat of recruiting, we're going to have Doug Gottlieb, a head coach for a Division I program, go out and recruit guys and full time while also being a full-time radio host. That's the part I just don't understand. But my real question for you is this. Will there be a guy, you're talking about the staff, will there be a guy on the staff that watches these players' credit cards?
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. We had to bring up Doug Gottlieb was in college, and I don't even remember what years already. But we're bringing up some alleged issue from his college days. The dude's 48 years old. We're talking about something that happened probably 30 years ago. And that's Elliot's main question. I think that's pretty in line with Elliot as a person. Look, you talked about these other radio shows that head coaches do. The other radio shows that head coaches do are for an hour or two once a week, and they're talking about their program. Doug Gottlieb is doing a nationally syndicated broadcast for 3 hours a day talking about nationally relevant topics. That is very, very different. I can't wait to see the Doug Gottlieb show live from some AAU tournament in the middle of a gym in the middle of nowhere where he's trying to put together this radio show while he's also recruiting, because those AAU tournaments start on a Friday afternoon and they go all weekend long. So he's not going to be able to skip those. He needs to be out in front of these student athletes recruiting. So I don't know how he's going to do it. He'll set up a studio, I'm sure, in his office, and for all we know, he'll set up a studio at his house too. But the credit cards and specifically the purchasing cards for UW Green Bay, I guess they're going to have to keep a close eye on.
Oh, stop it.
I hope so.
Don't fall into this trap, Craig. Don't do it. Don't do it. Craig, I want to thank you so much for your time, my friend, and shedding light on this whole thing. Really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, Tom. We'll talk to you soon.
Craig Sandlin, kind enough to join us. You see him on Chatterbox Reds from time to time. He's dialed in. There's no
That's
question.
right, baby.
He's
That's right,
dialed
baby.
in. So we're taking a break. Is that what we're doing?
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So right now, if you're listening on the car radio, thank you very much. Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench. We're going to be right back. Now, before we go to you, Tom, this is just YouTube. This is just YouTube. We have 2 more radio segments left, and that's going to be about 13 minutes each. Casey, we got some ads to read.
Yeah, we do. We got some lovely bottle of water to promote here. Pawnee Water. Made right here in Hamilton, Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
Uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing of the brands used. Result, healthy alkaline water, and some say the best tasting water in the world. Visit Pawnee Water at PAHHNIwater.com so you can buy this great tasting water. And just to let you know, too, pH level, it's not an 8, it's not a 9, it's not a 7, it's a perfect 8. Makes it healthy.
That's right. My favorite part about Pawnee Water is the smoothness.
Oh, the smoothness
When
is
it
great.
when it goes right down the gullet, nice and easy.
Gulp,
Not
gulp,
a lot of
gulp.
waters do that. I think Ice Mountain, you'll choke on yourself drinking that water. So don't do that. You drink Pawnee Water. That's the best water in America, maybe the world. In fact, it is the best water in the world.
It is.
That's
It
right.
is, in fact. And it's growing. It's growing quite rapidly too. They've got a lot of celebrities now that
Big Perk, right?
Yeah, Big Perkins. Have a couple of college athletes, so it's growing. Get yourself some bottled water before it's too late and they become too big league for you. And then we got Encore Technologies. They provide IT solutions for a data-centered world with the suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency and
Productivity.
That's right, productivity.
Yeah, baby, you got it.
Visit encore.tech. The path to innovation begins here. Actually said it right this time.
You nailed that. Luke nailed it. Is this the 3rd day on the show? Is that right?
It is.
Day number 3, he got productivity. I don't think Paul ever got it. Paul was here for well over a year.
He went to one of those, like you, elite private schools.
Let me ask, you don't.
What is the deal with this thing?
What is what thing? The thing on the left?
In the middle.
It's frozen. Is it frozen?
Are
Yeah,
we frozen? We are frozen on the internet.
We're frozen on the internet.
Well,
Now we're back.
Now we're back.
Occasionally it does that. it happens right in the middle of the show, and it's just like I can't. The only way to fix it is to completely restart the system, restart the computer.
Let me ask you.
If I can catch it in the morning, I do, and it fixes it. But I can't.
Let me ask you this, Tom. Let me ask you this, Tom. When you worked for your big big networks,
Yeah.
did the TV ever freeze up like that?
Sure.
Did it?
Stuff would happen.
Yeah.
Stuff would happen.
You have some technical difficulties?
One of the worst moments of all time for the most legendary producer in the history of sports television is a guy named Michael Weissman.
Yeah.
He was named executive producer at NBC Sports. He's born and raised New Yorker.
Yep.
Went to University of North Carolina. Did his job as the executive producer, the head guy of NBC Sports.
Did you
He's
unplug
28.
You unplugged your mic there, Tom. On the top. On the top.
Okay. So he gets a job when he's 28 years old, Michael Weissman. So he finds and hires this guy named Bob Costas. He's Marv Albert's boss. He's Dick Enberg's boss. He's everybody's boss. He's this guy forever at NBC, runs all the Olympic games, blah, 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 blah. So long story short, he gets out of sports television. Dick Ebersol comes in, takes over for him. And he goes off to Los Angeles, and he starts buying sports television trucks, right?
Yeah.
So now people are paying him to use his trucks for these different events, all the different networks. So he goes into basic hiding for about 10 years. And if you know Michael Weissman, he is one of the most outgoing, funny guys on the planet. But he literally disappears. Fox talks him out of retirement, if you will, to come produce the number 2 team on Fox Major League Baseball Game of the Week. I'm the number 2 team. Bob Brenly and I are the number 2 team for Fox. Number 1 team is Joe Buck and Tim McCarver. We are doing the Yankees at the Red Sox on a Saturday afternoon. Joe Torre is the manager of the Yankees. Well, Weissman has it. When he walks into a room, he takes over a room. He's just slim, got kind of half a beard growing, but really nice clothes. And, he's just such an engaging, dynamic guy. And him and Torre, who's another New York guy, they hit it off immediately. Well, Weissman's buttering him up because he wants Torre to wear a microphone. Managers have never worn microphones on the air, right, during the game. And Weissman says, listen, Joe, he says, I promise you, we'll make you look good. No problems at all. Okay, so Joe says, Michael, I'll do it. So the game starts. Yankees fall behind. Paul O'Neill hits a big home run for the Yanks into right field to bring them back and tie the game. Huge comeback, like 6-7 run comeback. And O'Neill caps it off, hammers a home run to right. So we get to commercial break, and the fellow who's working the replay, we've got it all lined up exactly where that input is going to be to pick up Torre's line.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. So the line before the line we want to pick up on is Torre says, there goes a home run, his reaction in the dugout. The effing worm is turned, boys. And then he went on to say, big old deal, all right. One of those deals, right? Well, on the air goes, the effing worm is turned, boys.
Oh, no.
So the game is over. Weissman is devastated. And he's not going to throw the technical guy under the bus. He wasn't going to do it. People make mistakes. It happens, right? The guy didn't mean to do it. And the guy didn't lose his job, which is the most important thing. Anyway, goes downstairs. He's supposed to be catching a plane, Weissman is, racing to the airport. And he said, I cannot do that. I have to go see Joe Torre. So I said, well, if Weissman does it, then I'll do it. I'll catch the next flight out, whenever that is. So I go down with him. We walk in Torre's office. Torre's sitting there. And you talk about one of the greatest guys that has ever lived on the planet is Joe Torre. And he's sitting there. He's got his arms crossed. He looks up. Michael. He says, you know who I just hung up the phone with? He says, no. This is pre-cell phone days now. He says, My sister just called me from the seminary where she lives. She's a nun. And heard the effing worm has turned, boys. Not good. Not good.
Poor producer. I was a poor producer.
Yeah, this was on television. Everett asked, "Was this on the radio?" No. And I like Bacon says O'Neal was a stud. There is no doubt about that. Although you see Big O'Neal out on the golf course,
I do.
his temper tantrum is still as bad as it's ever been.
Really?
Okay, well, I never caddied for him.
Right.
But, I mean, that guy's just a man. I mean, he goes to the driving range, but he's made, I don't know what his body, how it works, if he's taking supplements, but, like, he goes to the gym and just lets his veins explode out of his body before going to the driving range. I mean, I thought it was Bryson DeChambeau when I first walked out there. He destroys the golf ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it is unbelievable. And everybody, like, has this sense of, I guess we're going to say respect for someone my age, of my physique. I would say fear. Where
Yeah.
I don't get near 3 range spots of him. I'm like, you can have the right side of the range today, Mr. O'Neal, because I'm not going over there.
He is a monster.
I can't imagine.
I mean, I bet his divots
when
have
he
exit
says
velo.
He is a monster. His shoulders are like this. His waist is like this. And he is just ripped head to toe. I mean, he looks like he could still be playing.
I think he's really good at golf, though, because he plays with all the good
Yeah. he
guys.
plays
Like, when
with
I
a
used to
good-
caddy for some of his buddies, they were all studs.
Really?
I never caddied for Paul O'Neal, though. No.
How good is Marty at golf?
Marty definitely gets. I mean, you can't. It's hard to grade good and bad when you're. I'm not like that age, and the fact that he can go play and walk 18 holes at any golf
He
course.
walks 18, huh?
Well, he plays some of those, premier golf
Yeah.
courses where you have to have a caddy or you
Yeah.
have to walk, and obviously he's not going to carry his own bag.
No.
But like, the fact that you can go play a full round of golf, I would say playing 9 holes for some people at that age is a very impressive thing to do.
Yeah.
Marty can lay into the driver. He's very into the technical side. He gets roped into the advertisements on Instagram of the new chipper putter dual club, or this driver will add 30 yards, or if you put the arrow on your tee and point it, your ball's going to go that way. So
Sucker born every minute.
he's got all the gadgets.
What's his go-to golf ball? What's Marty Brenneman's go-to golf ball? Is he a Titleist guy?
He's a Pro V1 guy.
Okay, he's a Pro V, not a noodle.
Definitely not a noodle. Tom is a noodle.
You're a noodle?
Yes.
I would be, whatever it is. I don't know
You
what
look like a
is.
Sarixon guy. You're a Sarixon or a noodle guy.
Or
That's
a Kirkland guy.
Kirkland.
Kirkland's good stuff.
I think-
Apparently they're Titleist balls, but it's the same manufacturer.
That's what I heard. I heard Kirkland balls are just as good. They sell them for less though, and that's because it's a different name brand. It's interesting.
Yes.
I've always been a Callaway guy. I golf with a Callaway ball.
Of course you do.
That's always been my. Is Callaway bad?
No, it's big league.
That's good stuff.
Callaway's
Big league
great.
ball.
Callaway's
Hey, by the
great
way,
stuff.
there used to be a segment on this. There used to be a segment on the show, Casey, which I think you built the graphic for, called Teaching Tom.
Oh,
Do we still have that graphic? Somewhere in the
Let's see if I have it still.
Teaching
I'll look
Tom.
for it.
annals of Chatterbox Sports.
I probably still have it, to be honest with you. I keep all that stuff. I keep all of our
what was
assets.
this?
and-
So this segment is who would teach you?
Him and Quitter Paul,
Quitter Paul.
2 young guys.
Yeah.
So if there was something going on in music, right? Or there would be a term, and I'd look at them and like one of them was drip.
Oh,
I had no idea what drip was.
Yeah.
Okay? And so they would teach me things like that. Let me know if you find it, Casey.
What
You
about
probably
Riz? Did they
won't.
ever teach you Riz?
Oh,
No, we
Riz?
did not. teach
Yeah.
him
Riz.
What is Riz?
Oh,
I,
let's
would,
see.
I wouldn't know anything about it.
If we have the intro for this, we could do it. I don't know if Casey's got it.
I do not have it on me.
Luke knows
I'm
all
sure I
about
can find
Riz.
it.
I know nothing
Luke
about
rizzed
Riz.
up Livy Dunn. That's what I hear. That's what they're saying on the streets right now. Tom.
No. That's that.
Reed's calling you the Rizzler, Tom.
What
the
is
Rizzler.
what do you got first, Casey? What do you got?
I think he's got nothing.
I got nothing.
Nothing. Okay. What is Riz?
Riz is the abbreviation for charisma, and
Oh.
it's usually what people talk to when they're trying to find a mate.
It's like that guy's got good riz.
Yeah, he's got good rid. He got good swag, Tom.
Oh, I got
It's
it.
like
He's got it.
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
Hang
I gotta
on,
put it
hold
in
your
the show.
thought again for the explanation of this. So Casey, run it.
Hang on. I got
He's got to download it. He's got to download it off the internet.
Okay.
Here it
Okay.
comes. Here it comes. Ready?
Yeah. Let's see it. There's one of those that goes around on the internet.
Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty.
Joe what? Is that the word? Is that the hip word? I don't even know what to say. What? When a viewer tells me that I'm trying to be hip and I'm not as hip as I think I am, that hurts. That's a pretty cute little bit there.
That is good. That is good.
I like that beard look. I never thought I
I
liked
was
that.
about to say
I
that was
like
one of
that
the
thing.
worst things I've seen in a while on this show.
was what?
That lower right? I thought that was fake.
No.
Let's not do that again.
That was big league. That was during the Bengals. I wasn't going to shave, right, Casey?
Yeah.
That was during the Bengals.
Yeah, we weren't going to shave until what? They
So
lost?
They lost
guess
the
that's
game. They
fair.
ripped off like 7, 8, 9 in a row, so whatever it was.
Yep.
All right, but anyway, so Riz. Riz cannot apply to a married dude?
No.
No.
I mean, yeah, it could
It
definitely
certainly could because
certainly could apply.
He could have rizzed up the wife.
Okay.
No, but it still could apply just
Yeah,
in like
you
the
get it,
wrong
yeah.
way, probably.
Okay, we don't want to go down that road. But,
Okay.
but Riz is for the young people out there, just so I can learn and maybe drop it on one of Luke's friends or something.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it ain't Luke. So,
So when you go up to one of Luke's friends and they're talking to a girl, Tom, you say, "Hey, are you rizzing her up? You got that riz?" That's what you say to them.
And if they say yes, you say you're the Rizzler or something.
You're the
like
Rizzler.
that.
oh,
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
When we come back from
The
Rizzler.
Rizzler.
That's right, the Rizzler. When we come back from this segment, we got breaking news, Tom. Breaking news. And this is another teaching Tom thing. He's gonna like this a lot. So we're gonna take a break.
Rizzler!
ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
Rizzler! Come on, you were.
I'm the
you
one
threw
doing
it.
it.
To break,
Welcome
you take
back.
It out. What do we got
Welcome
going
back
on?
in the final segment of the day. Chatterbox Sports off the bench. That is not Trace Fowler. That is Tom Brenneman. Luke Brenneman's across from me. Casey McAllister's next to me. I am Elliot Rearing. Well, I said we had breaking news, Tom. Yesterday, some news broke about one of the greatest prospects college football has ever seen. Baby Gronk. Baby Gronk has decommitted, Tom, from Ohio State, and he will be going to the University of Michigan. And you can look forward to that in like 10 years. And also, he's not good enough to play college football.
That's a dude that was all over the internet. Is his dad training him, right?
Yes, correct.
Baby Gronk.
Baby Gronk. And he rizzed up Livy Dunn, Tom.
Who?
Livy Dunn. You know Paul Skeens, the pitcher for the Pirates?
I just read about it.
Yeah, he's dating Livy Dunn. Livy Dunn is the very famous gymnastics girl from LSU.
She's significantly more famous than her number one overall pick.
Correct. Very, 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 very famous.
So
Superstar.
She must be attractive, right?
Correct.
She was on the
Okay.
swimsuit.
Yeah, she's on the swimsuit thing. And basically, they're saying Baby Gronk rizzed her up. So baby Gronk and Livy Dunn,
It's
maybe.
like, this is like a joke, right? I mean,
Yes.
come on, Baby Gronk. How old is this guy? Like 10?
Yeah, he's like, it might be a little less. He might be 9. His dad wants to make him a superstar, so he is Baby Gronk.
Hey, if he's good enough and wants to come play for the Buckeyes, bring him on.
Speaking of that, and I know I didn't get your thoughts on this. What were your thoughts on the Tom Brady roast? Did you see any of it?
You know what? I've heard a lot of people talking about it, obviously. And, you know, I was on the plane coming back from Phoenix the other day, and this guy sitting next to me on the plane is watching it.
Yeah.
And he has the subtitles. And in everything that I watch, I have to have subtitles because as I've gotten older, I lost hearing in one of my ears many, many, many years ago. So I don't hear very well. And so I always have subtitles. Well, this guy had the subtitles on because he had the earphones on, right? And as you guys know, I mean, I am the furthest thing from a prude. I mean, believe me, there are guys out there. I don't judge anybody.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't think anybody's any better than me. And I realize that people are who we are. We're fallible. We make mistakes. And, you know, I'm not going to sit here and judge anybody. I'm allowed to say, though, and I will say, reading, and I was looking at this guy's little computer in front of me. Kevin Hart, who I generally very much like.
Yep.
I mean, I really find him to be entertaining and very, very funny. But I was just reading the subtitles of his open.
Over this guy's shoulder?
Well, not over his shoulder. I mean, I'm just sitting there, and I had a book in front of me, and I could just look my eyes over to the left, and I
Fair.
could see his computer screen. We're jammed. I'm not like in first class where I got to lean my neck over. But I saw the first like 7-8 minutes. Every other word's an F-bomb.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking to myself, Tom Brady's above this. He's above this. And I loved his. I found. Did you see the story yesterday?
Said he regrets it.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking while I was watching it. And I loved the question the guy on radio asked him, or the podcast, whatever it was, said, "What did you learn from the podcast?
Yeah.
I mean, from the roast." And he said, "I learned that there are a lot of things that people were talking about up there that I really would prefer my kids didn't hear about."
Yep.
And it sort of bums me out. And I thought that was phenomenal insight. And it's one of the reasons I always have liked Brady. I've done a number of his games, so I've had a chance to interview him, sit in a room with just 3 or 4 of us for 20, 30, 40 minutes at a time. I did very little of the talking. I don't claim to know him. I don't claim to be friends with him. But just watching him interact with Troy Aikman or whoever I was working with that week, he is an extremely engaging guy. Loves to smile, loves to laugh. He's present when he talks to you. I have always really liked the guy. And so there was a part of me that I get it. The way he must have felt. And I mean, the rest of it, I guess, was great, right? There were some really good moments in it, right? Who was the best?
Nikki Glazer was the best, I think, for me personally. But there was the one guy, I don't know his name. He came in at the very end, and he was absolutely hilarious. I get the sentiment. Now, I will say, Tom, he knew what he was signing up for when you do that.
Yeah,
Exactly
you
right.
can't
I'm
feel
not-
bad for Tom Brady.
No. I
He
don't
also
feel,
got-
I don't feel bad for him at all.
Right.
No.
And I believe the number that I'm hearing, and that's what Everett's hearing in the chat, I believe the number he was paid for this was around $20 million, $25 million. So, saying that, the jokes might have been a little off color towards his family, and I think he probably, had he gone back in time, he probably would have still done the roast. He would have just said no family jokes, because he did make it. They've been coming off in interviews this past week, and there were things that were off limits. There was a Robert Kraft joke that was made, and Tom Brady made it clear to all the comics that no Robert Kraft jokes will be had.
Yeah.
One guy did it, Jeff Ross. Jeff Ross is the roast master. He made a joke. And live, Tom goes up to him and says, "Hey, cut that out. No more of that." And people, it was a big debate whether it was real or not. And I think every comic said, "Yeah, that was a real moment." Tom didn't want to hear any Robert Kraft slander whatsoever. So if he had to do it again, he probably would have left the stuff about his wife and the karate master. They would have probably left that stuff behind.
And at the same time, Tom Brady's one of his best roasts was going after Kanye and Kim's kid. Not after the kid, but one of Tom's jokes was about, unfortunately, because Kim was present at the roast.
Kim Kardashian.
Unfortunately, your daughter is with her dad right now.
Yeah.
So, like, I know that Tom was saying he regrets it. He wasn't saying he was going to do anything about it. And I don't necessarily think he made it some big mistake of his to have it. Like, I mean, roasts are good. They're kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it from our perspective where it doesn't like hurt us and it's not, sensitive. It's funny to have like a real laugh at a personal joke, especially in the times we are today where those are so rare and hard to come by.
Yeah.
I thought the stories with Gronk and Edelman when they were making fun of Belichick telling them, you guys wouldn't get you guys couldn't start for whatever New England High, whatever school they said, and then Edelman goes to him and he says, "Coach, that's the only job you're gonna get."
That's good stuff.
So there was some good moments, and that was a great point by you because Tom did the thing that he's exactly mad about. He made fun of somebody else's
like family
dynamic.
Yeah.
So he did exactly that. But I agree with Luke. I think it was mostly fun. There was a couple bad bits in there, but other than that, I thought it was mostly good. Would you ever sign up for a roast?
Well, I was getting ready to say, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite here at the same time, because when they had the roast for my dad, now Luke couldn't go; he was at college, and my daughter was out of town; she couldn't go either. But everybody did a really good job. Really good job. The roasters were there, and I was one of them, and I did what I could do. And but you have to. Everybody's so gun shy now. If you go back and you look at the roast, and I know I'm going way back, but roast used to be a really big deal in the United States. They televise them on network television, and these were the days before you could use bad language at all on network television.
Yeah.
But some of the jokes that the Johnny Carsons of the world, or the Dean Martins of the world, or whatever it was, and Don Rickles. I mean, are you kidding me? Don Rickles. Nobody could let somebody have it like Don Rickles, right?
That's right.
Tommy Lasorda. I mean, you go back and look at some of these now. I mean, no holes barred at all. We've reached a point in society where you can't say anything anymore.
That's right.
Somebody's going to be offended. And when I was at my dad's roast, that's all I could think of, was of all of the great material you could use on my dad, and there's a lot of it. Nobody's going to step up there and do it, because we, not they, we are all in a position now where you are scared of your own shadow. Because no matter what you say, somebody's going to be offended.
That's right. There might have been. Hopefully, there wasn't the Will Smith incident at that roast, where they would come up and slap a comedian.
The roast, but I said that. The roast can be fun because of that. And that's why, for the most part, Tom Brady's roast was epic. I mean, Netflix probably did unreal numbers on that thing, and everybody was watching it.
Yeah, I did. I certainly did. So I'm going to switch away from this because we only have 3 minutes left of the show today. Bengals schedule release, that whole thing, that whole show, whatever they're doing, everything's getting leaked similarly to the NFL draft. I will say it kind of ruins the fun of it. But saying that, we found out, and Luke called it, the Giants and the Bengals will be taking each other on a Sunday night football. Is that correct?
I think that's week six at MetLife.
Week 6. So I was wrong. I still think they're going to get one with the Titans. Do we still think the Ravens and the Bengals are going to square off on a primetime game?
I do. KCU?
Yeah, I think so.
And I think the Bengals will get the home game, because they've never had a home game, if I'm not mistaken, in the AFC North in prime time.
Is that right?
I think that's right. I think I read that.
If that's crazy.
Wait,
if that's right.
When? Last year?
In the last couple of years.
Well, they've had
a playoff game in prime time against Baltimore here at home.
I guess the last couple of years. I remember they beat the Steelers when the Steelers were really good and the Bengals were really bad. Who was the quarterback?
Oh,
Finley.
It was
Ryan Finley.
Ryan Finley.
Yeah, they had that. That was Monday Night Football.
That was in Pittsburgh, right? Or was it at home?
That was
home.
Cincinnati.
Okay, so that's been a few years ago.
Yeah, that actually was at least 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a while since they've had it.
It was like 2017. Is that right?
No,
2017?
it was sooner than that.
No, it was much.
Ryan Finley was less than 2018?
Probably
That was the year
2020.
before. That was the year Joe Burrow got hurt, right?
Yeah.
Joe
Or the
Burrow
year
got
before that.
drafted
Rookie
during
year?
COVID.
Oh no, that was the last year of Andy Dalton starting.
Oh, okay.
They had benched
So it's
Andy
been a
Dalton
while.
for Ryan Finley.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
It's been quite a while. I mean, they've played a bunch of them on the road. Cleveland, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, a lot of those, but not at home.
Oh, Halloween versus Browns.
Yeah, that's right.
Someone in the
but on the
chat.
road.
That was on the road, yeah.
It was on the
Adam
road.
has.
I'm
Oh,
saying-
yeah.
I'm saying at home. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I don't remember.
They're going to get one this year against somebody, and I hope it's Baltimore, because and I still hope they get the Thanksgiving Day game against Dallas.
Yep. That would be crazy. Because if they're getting Christmas and Thanksgiving, that's wild.
But
The Steelers got Christmas against the Chiefs. That was leaked.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Casey still thinks that they're going to make sure that Dallas can win their game on Thanksgiving.
That's right.
You think it's rigged for the Cowboys?
Conspiracy.
No, I don't think it's
You
rigged.
said it's rigged.
I don't think it's rigged. I just think that they consciously think that maybe that there's a chance that we should have the Dallas Cowboys.
When was the last time the Cowboys accomplished anything?
On Thanksgiving Day? I think they
Yeah,
win
but-
just about every other year, dude.
But if they're going to rig it for Thanksgiving, they're going to rig it for the NFL playoffs.
Come
Why
on,
wouldn't
Casey. You buying all that stuff.
no, I don't
You
buy
Casey-
it.
Casey
Come
thinks
on, Casey.
Casey-
You're all about the octopus
That's
murders
right.
and all that stuff.
That's right. Casey thinks there's a script
What?
in the NFL.
Why is it that I think that there's a script? I'm just saying that I think that they would get an easier game
because
on
you think it's
Thanksgiving.
rigged for Mahomes in Kansas City. You made that argument 2 years in a row. And then when the whole thing happened with the Bills game and, neutral sites and, all this stuff.
Well, that was a bunch of bull junk from the NFL.
Conspiracy.
I don't know if it was
Against the
conspiracy.
Bengals.
It was just bull junk. It was dumb that they even had that. A coin flip to decide home field advantage because we didn't get to play the Bills because of DeMar Hamlin. That's bull junk.
Okay.
It looks like a couple of Bills games got leaked. They're playing the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football Week 2.
Yep.
They're playing the Jets on Monday Night Football Week 6.
Boy, the Jets have got like a million prime time. It's
Rodgers,
They better
baby.
hope, like last year, they better hope Aaron Rodgers is healthy.
It's Rodgers, baby. And then they got Sunday Night Football against the 49ers December 1st in Week 13. So
Some teams' entire schedules are already leaked.
I know there's 5 games.
The
6
Eagles are
games.
completely leaked.
That's why the NFL's king. They're the king.
Wait, what?
They keep you talking about them. Not just during their offseason anymore.
Yep.
They keep you
That's true.
talking about them seemingly every hour. Right?
That's right.
What in baseball is bigger news in some of these games in the NFL? Nothing.
Nothing.
And we're 6 months away from an NFL game.
I will say it's nice to come in every day with new material, though. Like, obviously, the football season, nobody likes Bengals football more than me and would love to be in town and come talk about them every second. But
You can drop out of Indiana and do that here.
waking up on Monday morning after you lose on Sunday and knowing you got to wait till Sunday for the next game
Yeah.
isn't nearly as bad as the feeling as after that, blown game on game 1 of the series versus the D-backs, and you wake up the next day and you're like, hey, instead of 7 days, 7 hours,
Right.
we
That's
have
right.
another game.
True.
That's right.
All right, we're going to go. We're calling it a day.
That's right.
I want to thank Trace for letting me sit in. I hope he's able to get a little rest. Another late night last night, Chatterbox Reds. He'll be on the air late this afternoon, early this evening after the 3:40 game. You two are here tomorrow, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, Trace is back in the saddle tomorrow. You and I are going to Bloomington. Good luck on the broadcast this weekend.
Thank you.
Hoosiers v.
Wolverines.
No.
Go.
TTUN.
Oh, okay. Michigan.
That team up north.
Are you an Ohio State guy too?
I am, but kind of just because I grew up around
Yeah.
him. And then I got to a certain age where I had a very humbling moment where
Yeah.
it was like one of my buddies said, "Why are you an Ohio State fan?"
That's right.
And I had never really thought about it because I was such a big Ohio State fan. And I will defend myself. I've always been a bigger Ohio State hoops guy than anything.
Yeah.
And
Aaron Kraft,
Aaron
leader of
Kraft.
men.
that's my all-time. That's my guy right there. And my dad made me think about it. They're like, "Oh, your dad went to Ohio State." I'm like, "Yeah, he did." Like, no, he didn't. So there goes any reason. But I mean, I guess I'm from Ohio. That's such a lame excuse.
It's the only reason I'm a fan.
I'm not really. I mean, now that I go to a team that's in the Big Ten, I'm a huge Indiana football guy. Now they just hired a new head coach.
That's right.
So there is some steam moving, especially Indiana's a basketball school, basketball state. So the Ohio State basketball fandom has taken a back seat.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Former Elder grad Peyton Ramsey saved that program, that football program.
He did.
That's a fact.
He did. Doug Ramsey's son.
Leader of men.
Leader of men. No question about that. Doug Ramsey is a leader of men. All right. Generally speaking, fellas, good job today. Generally speaking. Casey, good work. Elliot, good work. Lukey, good work.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See, we try to teach manners around the Brennan.
That was it.
You clearly, it's a work in progress. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you.